From ancient times until now, women, physically weaker and more vulnerable, have always faced the risk of being assaulted. How to escape sexual violence has long been an important concern for women in general. The following story reveals the extraordinary experience of a young woman who narrowly escaped after falling into the trap of a sexual predator. It happened on January 12, 2016. T followed several people from her hometown to the LS border gate. Anyone from HT probably knows that for many years, many locals have gone to China to work, and many of them managed to improve their lives and become financially stable. T also went there with the same hope. But when she was only a few steps away from crossing the border, she suddenly suffered severe stomach pain, with intense cramping waves. The others told her, "You should go home. If something happens over there while you're this sick, it could be dangerous." So T sadly boarded a bus back to HN City. When she arrived at MD bus station at around 8 p.m., there were no more buses returning to HT. She was less upset about missing the job opportunity and more worried about how she would survive the night. Before leaving, the group organizer had said that everything would be taken care of in China, so there was no need to bring much money. After paying for the ride back to Hanoi, T had only 80,000 Vietnamese dongs left in her pocket. Exhausted and carsick from the long journey, she realized she could not wander helplessly around the station all night. So she reluctantly entered a nearby motel, hoping the owner would sympathize and let her stay for the night. T said to the motel owner, "I missed my trip, and now there are no buses back to my hometown. Could you please let me stay here for the night?" The owner was bald, rough-looking, tall, and intimidating. He stared at T from head to toe before saying,
"Fine, you can sleep with the housekeeper."
T agreed and thanked him. The sinister look in his eyes frightened her for a moment, but hearing that she would sleep with the housekeeper made her feel somewhat reassured. Around 9 p.m., the housekeeper told T to move to another room. Since they instructed her to go there, she simply obeyed, thinking perhaps they had an extra room available. But the moment T stepped inside, the door suddenly slammed shut. Startled, she turned around and saw the motel owner. He locked the door, placed a large knife in front of it, and stared at her. T was frozen with shock and unable to speak when he suddenly said in a vulgar voice,
"Let's sleep together for a while."
T stammered in fear, "No, no, please." He began trying to coax her.
"It's fine, nothing will happen. Tomorrow, if you can't find work, you can stay here and work for me."
Trying desperately to stay calm, T pretended to agree. Okay, tomorrow I'll do as you want. But please let me rest tonight first. I'm too exhausted. Tomorrow, if there's work, you can let me do it." But he was not so easily deceived. He immediately rejected her excuse.
"No, we'll do it now."
Like a starving beast, he tore off all his clothes and moved toward her. T was terrified beyond words. She had fallen into his trap with no escape left. It was no longer just her dignity at risk, even her life seemed uncertain. At that moment of extreme danger, T suddenly remembered a passage from the Universal Gate chapter of the Lotus Sutra. If countless hundreds of thousands of millions of living beings suffer various afflictions and hear of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, and wholeheartedly recite his name, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva will immediately hear their cries and deliver them from suffering. So T silently and desperately recited in her mind, "Namo Great Compassion Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. Mother Avalokiteshvara, save me. Mother Avalokiteshvara, save me." She closed her eyes, clenched her fists tightly, curled herself defensively, and waited for fate to decide her destiny. 1 minute, 2 minutes, then 10 minutes passed. Strangely, he still could not do anything to her. For some reason, his limbs became weak and clumsy. His eyes looked exhausted and dull. Seeing this, T recited the name of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva even more fervently while continuing to protect herself. The miraculous power of the sacred name, Namo Great Compassion Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, was beyond imagination. He was a large, violent man overwhelmed by lust. T, meanwhile, was only a physically weak woman trembling in terror and unable to remain calm. Yet despite all his strength, he simply could not overpower her. No one knows how the spiritual power of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva worked, but suddenly the man became weak and sluggish. His face grew blank, and his eyelids slowly drooped. Could he actually be getting sleepy? At a moment like this? Yet unbelievably, he truly did fall asleep. After making a few final sluggish attempts, more symbolic than serious, he collapsed onto the bed and slept soundly, as if drugged unconscious. Seeing this, T was overwhelmed with relief, though she was still terrified and trembling uncontrollably. She sat in a corner continuously reciting, Namo Great Compassion Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. Namo Great Compassion Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. She begged for protection and continued chanting throughout the entire night. Occasionally, he woke up and looked at her. It seemed his lust was struggling fiercely against the overwhelming drowsiness. But eventually, helplessness appeared in his eyes, and he would collapse back into sleep again. At 5 a.m., he finally woke up, looked at the clock, and tiredly said,
"Fine, you can go home now."
He sluggishly walked to the door, removed the knife, and unlocked it. T immediately ran away without daring to look back. Until now, T has never dared tell this story to anyone. She feared that people without faith in Buddhism would think she was insane. After all, how could a man and woman stay alone together in a room all night and yet nothing happen? As everyone knows, bus stations are dangerous places filled with complicated people, especially motel owners who are often not ordinary individuals. T was like a fish on the chopping block. He was large, aggressive, and on his own territory. At that moment, her chances of survival were almost non-existent. Even today, T is still haunted by the image of the knife blocking the doorway. That night, if not for the miracle of the Bodhisattva, perhaps her name would have appeared in the records of a rape and murder case. Worse still, if he had hidden the evidence skillfully, her body might never have been found. Such things happen all the time. Who could know? Through reciting the Bodhisattva's sacred name, an invisible spiritual force appeared to restrain him, trapping him in overwhelming drowsiness and allowing T to remain completely unharmed. The Buddha's teachings in the scriptures are eternal truths. Even a single sentence, a single word, is never false.